Two podcasts recorded simultaneously through the magic of, I'm not sure what. It's Con Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. I'm James Van Osdell. As I'm recording Con Carne, as we're eating food from Big and Littles in Lakeview tonight, we're also recording...
Make us a mixtape.
Sponsored by no car company. So if you're a car company out there, or Mazda, we would love a car.
Yes, I'm Paul Faravhar.
Marty DeRosa.
We had James Van Osdell make us a mixtape. And they can only have 5 songs, which I know a lot of people have a hard time with. And you...
Well, because it's bullshit.
You've had the most trouble.
You've had the most trouble.
We've never had a podcast guest cause or raise such...
A lot of profanities were used, calling us tyrants.
The tyranny of your rules.
We can't have a 6-hour podcast.
Can't you?
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osdell.
As we're talking about this,
yes.
This is where the podcasts commingle. Every week on Con Carne, I and a guest or guests eat and talk in the car. We do an interview as we eat. You guys chose this place, Big and Littles.
Yes.
I've
Marty
never been.
I have. It's my favorite neighborhood place to get very good tacos and burgers. And the Merck's dog, which I got. Did anyone else get the Merck's dog?
I got the shrimp po' boy and Cajun fries.
Okay, there you
I
go.
got a burger and a taco, but
Yeah.
I didn't get the dog.
Very reliable tacos, decent price.
And with interesting meats. Like
Yes.
they have a Euro taco. And they've got all kinds of interesting spins on pretty conventional food.
Yeah.
I want to try the burger because I like to think I know where all the good burgers are in Chicago.
What's your favorite place?
I like Portillo's burger. I really do. I think it's underrated. A lot of people fight me.
It's a coward's move, Paul.
It's not a coward's move.
It's a coward's move.
Saying fight me or
No,
Portillo's?
saying that Portillo's your
Nah,
favorite
I think
hamburger.
you know what saying it like a cheval is. I think is a sissy move. And I you already know, James, my burrito place because we did it when we did the show
3 years
before
ago.
you had this elaborate setup. When he
This is very
Yeah,
elaborate.
I'm so impressed.
3
with
years
this.
Thanks,
ago.
Marty.
I just want a car to podcast in my car like this. This is all I want to do.
3 years ago, James had a Datsun 210.
That's exactly
And
right.
we had those old tape recorders, and you were recording with a cassette tape, and that's kind of how we got the idea for Make Us a Mixtape. To be honest, so
We stole it.
So explain the premise of Make Us a Mixtape. I guess it is self-explanatory.
Marty,
We have our guest come in and they make us a 5-song mixtape or, a playlist. No one makes mixtapes anymore.
Kids call us millennials call it
We
playlists.
had a guest on who is a diehard Gen Xer, and he made us a actual CD
Yes.
mix. It was amazing to see. I don't know where I'm going to play it.
I haven't listened
I'll
to
have
it
to
yet.
figure it out. Maybe my DVD player. I'm not sure. But we have people play them. They can be just my current 5 favorite songs, my all-time favorite songs.
any theme.
It could be a narrative or whatever. And it's interesting to sort of hear our friends' musical tastes. Some good, some bad. Some it's just like, what are these songs that you're playing on
Yeah.
there? The levels of passion for songs up and down. Some are just like, well, it's just what I've listening to. And it's like, oh, how'd you hear about them? I don't know, just Spotify or whatever. And then other people are like, this band is my life. This saved my life. This was here when I needed them.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting to get the whole span of our friends. Some
Soundtracks
good,
of their
some bad
lives.
taste, in music.
Well, see, I think that whole bad taste thing is almost BS because, for years when we were young and vitriolic, there was that idea that people had guilty pleasures. Like there are things you shouldn't like, you should feel guilty about. I think, and maybe you guys don't agree, but I think as we age, the idea of a guilty pleasure kind of becomes silly and ludicrous, that something isn't as... Like people would argue that my love for Rush constitutes a guilty pleasure. They're wrong.
I love Rush.
Okay.
I think that we're in this day and age now, too, where you're able to like what you like so much, where in the day, like I love wrestling, and in the day there were people who might have been like, I can't tell people I'm a wrestling fan. But now it's everybody's, whatever everybody's into, they just like wear it so proudly. And I think with bands, too, it's like, what is the bands you're supposed to be okay that you like and the bands you don't? I would rather have somebody who is obsessed with, Fish or whatever, or than somebody who is like, music's whatever. Like I can't fathom how people aren't passionate about music.
Sure.
But we've had people on the podcast who are just kind of like, yeah, these are songs I like. And it's kind of like, wow,
how can you be
how are you
indifferent
just
to it?
okay about music?
That's the thing. Like, even when whatever art you're in, like the one thing I rather someone hate my comedy or love it, but to be like indifferent, like not memorable.
Yeah,
that's kind of a crappy place to be. But I will say that I agree with Marty. I think there is no guilty pleasure anymore, but there are people that should be shamed for some of their choices.
Is it ASMR time here on the podcast?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, boy. Now,
so we could start eating.
When you guys eat food, do you go what the thing you're going to like the most first or last?
I usually start entree and then work my way around the sides, come back to the entree.
Okay.
I know some people will do one
my cousin
specific thing
eats
at a time.
all of
Makes
one
me
thing
nuts.
and then moves on to the next thing.
I do that too. I don't like to mix flavors. So, but I like fries and burgers. I'll do at the same time. But
let the record show, I chose something that cannot be consumed in the car, let alone without any kind of silverware or...
Yeah, that's a dangerous...
what was I thinking?
That feels like you take one bite and it's going to explode.
I'm going to have to turn this into hand food and whittle my way down to where I'm just at a bun. This is the shrimp po' boy, and it's hefty. And it smells really good, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the Mexican short rib.
I have the Japanese short rib, which is one of my hangover favorites. They also do like a fake Big Mac, which I love. And I thought back in the day when I was in like junior high, my idea was to open up a restaurant which had like fancy versions of fast food. Like I would have like a fancy Big Mac and a fancy, like Crunchwrap Supreme and stuff like that. And I feel like now that's kind of what I think I was ahead of my time. I never went to cooking school also. But now there's a lot of places that are like this place has like a fake, not fake, it's just the Big Mac, but it's better.
I feel like that's a food challenge on every fifth Food Network show.
Mm-hmm. Would that be your idea, Marty, where you would be like, you would just go to McDonald's and just change the spread?
So somebody told me there's a new thing where you can go to McDonald's and you order the Big Mac, but for the meat you get the meat from the Quarter Pounder. And it has some name that I can't think of right now.
It's a secret.
But it's like a secret menu item.
Huh.
And,
I love a Quarter Pounder.
Yeah.
I don't eat them that often.
Yeah.
Totally, I enjoy it every time I have it.
I mean, the consistency.
I was a Big Mac guy. I still am. I think if you're going to go to McDonald's, the Big Mac's the way to go. What do you say is the best burger in Chicago?
I've never had a bad burger at Kuma's. Never. In fact, Kuma's is one of those places, I think it's always dependable.
All of them or a specific location?
I mean, it's consistent. I mean, the menu is the same if you go to Vernon Hills, if you go to Schaumburg, probably Indianapolis. I'm going to trust that's true. Kuma's is a place when tourists or people from out of town come to Chicago and say, where can I go that's a Chicago place? It's not a touristy place. Really? I send them to Kuma's.
I say Portillo's.
No, you don't send them
on
to
the
it.
menu is so great.
No, I like to go to Kuma's at like right before they close and no one's in there and you get your food real quick.
Yeah.
I think and I like if you have to use the bathroom at Kuma's, the music is so loud there's no judging. And I think that they should play heavy metal in every bathroom everywhere.
Agreed.
So there's no judging at all when you're doing your thing.
Yeah, Portillo's, I love it, but
too touristy?
I think that's a cop-out. Now, as far as places on like a Big and Little's level or kind of a neighborhood burger joint, I love Fatso's. I think that place is fantastic. Paradise Pup in Des Plaines is delightful.
I've heard about that place. I've never been.
How are the cheeseburgers at Cheeseburger in Paradise? I've never been.
Not as good as Margaritaville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's your burger place, Marty?
Remember how you said Au Cheval?
Yeah.
I kind of really like that place. Yeah, I really like that place a lot. But it's like I go there like once a year. It's like a treat to me.
I don't like having to wait too long for food.
Yeah.
I don't like being on a wait list and killing time and watching people eat. I get antsy. Like, I just kind of want to go in and get served.
Yeah, when there's too much, like, like I'll have a friend, they'll go to like the Violet Hour or something. I'm like, well, I don't want to wait and all that stuff. Like,
Big Star's like that too. Like sometimes you have to wait for their. It's just I'm like, how long does it take to just make a taco? It's good though.
One exciting thing you'll get to experience as you edit this podcast for yourself.
We don't edit. We just play it.
Well, you get the rich, bold, vibrant sounds of gentlemen eating on microphone.
Yeah.
Which you've not had up until this point.
No.
I will tell you, when you're editing or not editing, at home, listening in headphones, it is delightful. It's heartwarming.
People like it.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
It's like the AMSR.
We did some unboxing videos, me and a buddy, and for a wrestling kind of like monthly subscription service, and people said they enjoyed like hearing the cardboard rip and stuff with headphones. It was very soothing. So
Some people have, I forgot what it's called, but...
a fetish.
No, the opposite, where people can't handle the people chewing. Because I had a segment on WGN Radio with Patty where they'd be like, what is Paul eating? And people would have to guess what I'm eating.
Yes, I eat that.
Oh, right. And so, but certain people hated
Maybe
the
that's
segment.
hindering the growth of my podcast.
Some people, I forgot, it's a thing.
Do people like seeing the food? Because this is my favorite item, and this is like as little kid as it gets. But this is just a hot dog with Merck's cheddar on it,
God.
Wow.
which is like
I will eat
my
anything
favorite.
with Merck's cheddar on
Yeah,
it.
it's my favorite.
Anything.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we ask you about why you picked these 5 songs? Sure.
Yeah, we got to get into it. Mm-hmm. How hard was it to put this list together? As hard as you made it out to be?
I hate it.
Well,
Why?
first you
Please
sent us a
tell us
list
why.
of 20,
Yes.
and we laughed.
Well, I didn't know there was a limit. So the first thing I sent you was a list of 20 of my favorite songs.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of stuff. I am
Sure.
musically omnivorous.
For those that don't know, James is a legend in the Chicago industry because we have followers in Argentina.
It's not true, but I have been around for a while. So I listen to a lot of stuff, and it's really hard. And it's cliche, but my top 10 or top 20 songs could change tomorrow. It really depends on mood, environment, what I'm feeling, what I'm interested in. It does change day by day, and so I tried to give a real cross section. I thought about eras, genres, emotional attachments.
Yep.
And I got that down to 20, and I was really proud of myself. And then I was denied. So
I'd still like the whole 20. We could post the whole 20.
Yes.
But it'll be an extra.
Some of the songs that were on the top 5 weren't in the original 20, though, right? Did you go a different direction?
Different direction.
That's
so
what I figured.
So I tried to think thematically, and I was thinking top 5 obscure David Bowie songs. I grew up loving David Bowie. I wanted to go deep cuts on Bowie. But I thought that wasn't quite where my head is at or who I am at this moment. So I thought, what's a good representation of me, what I like, where my passion is, and it always comes back to Chicago music. So I tried to distill decades of sound, styles, etc. from Chicago into 5 songs, which is really hard. And one thing, I do a local music show on 101 WKQX, and I'm often asked to do album reviews or song reviews for bands, and I'm very careful to not do that. I'm very careful to not show bias or favoritism in some way to bands, because it's not fair, as I'm trying to embrace all Chicago bands. So I went about this. I tried to find a band that is emblematic of the Chicago music I came to initially know, my entry point to Chicago music.
Okay.
My work with Chicago music started in the 1990s, and I tried to find an artist that was emblematic of the 90s in that scene. And Marty and I were talking about this before we started recording, this bonkers period in the 90s where everyone got a record deal. So I tried to find something that was representative of that. And then I tried to find a couple modern examples of Chicago music where things might be going now. Not necessarily my favorites, things I really like, but artists that are indicative of what the scene is doing now, and also one that's been around for a while but is still active in recording really, really good music. So it's all about Chicago.
But there's a lot of notable Chicago artists that are not on your list.
Well, by design. You gave me 5 slots.
If they made a movie about the Chicago music scene in the 90s, who would you like to play you?
Nobody. I wouldn't want to be in
Come
that
on,
movie.
you're the narrator of this.
Oh, if I'm the narrator.
We're seeing it through your eyes.
Wow. Excellent question, Marty.
Thank you very much.
One I've never given consideration to. We'll circle back, as they say in corporate America.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
I'll ping you later.
Can we play the first song that you have on this list here?
Yeah.
So we started with Treason by Naked Raygun.
First thing I noticed about let's
play a
little bit. Yeah. I was going to hit the post, as they say in the...
They don't say that. They don't say that.
Okay.
So Naked Raygun, this was really a band that was my tether into Chicago music. When I was in high school, this was the band I understood as the Chicago band. They had that look. They had the leather cop coats with the, literally cop coats with the Chicago flag patches. They had the black boots, the flat tops. Jeff Pizzotti, one of the most compelling frontmen you'll ever see on stage in Chicago with his whoa, whoa, whoa. Everything about Raygun screamed cool. Everything about Raygun made me interested to learn more about Chicago music and the bands and see the bands. So that song Treason, which was a modestly successful single for them.
But not their biggest song.
Probably not. I mean, maybe Rat Patrol, but Treason to me was a real gateway to Chicago music. And I can't talk about Chicago music without stating the importance of Naked Raygun.
Yeah, they're definitely, like you said, in the like, especially with punk bands in Chicago, they're like the one that everybody listens to. You said with the Cop Jackets, I remember buying one at the Alley, the old location
right down the
street,
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of just like, okay, this is what it is. And I think this is a great song to start a mix also. Mm-hmm. It's like right out of the gate, we're like, okay, did you think about that when you put the running order together?
Come on now.
So good. Yeah, it's just a great song to start it off with. I used to give old people hearing tests and give them hearing aids back in the day. And one of my patients, I cannot remember what role they were in the band, but she's like, you probably don't know them, but my son is in a band. And she's like, it's called Naked Raygun. I know you've probably never heard of them. I'm like, of course I've heard of them. And she was blown away that I had heard of them. And I was like, I have no, like, how would you not think that? They're huge. But
It's funny.
I guess, punk bands sometimes fly under the radar in the big world out there.
I was recording at Riot Fest 2 weekends ago. Out there all 3 days doing a bunch of interviews, which you can hear on quintessential. I was wearing a Raygun shirt on the second day I was out there, which also happened to be the day I did the most interviews. 99% of the bands I talked to were like, Raygun, fucking love them, dude. Everyone knows Naked Raygun.
And the name is the best too.
The name is the best.
What a great name. That's the best. It's like such a good name where it's like some bands you'll read like a biography on them or whatever, and they're like, oh, we were originally called this, and thank God we changed it before we got huge or whatever. But like for a punk band, like I remember as a kid being like Naked Raygun, like that just pops. That's just a great name for a band. And they always had the best like album covers or artwork or whatever. It was that, Mad Max sort of like always kind of like, this is punk, mohawks and leather and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's it.
I remember them playing in Chicago. I never got into them or their style of music, but I did remember first time I got like playing the Cubby Bear in the 90s was the ultimate. This is before House of Blues even existed. And so they used to play there all the time in the 90s, right? There in Metro. And I think Dave Grohl talked about that the first time he saw.
Dave Grohl.
Everyone talks about that show.
Dave Grohl has beaten that drum so many times. He'll always tell the story about how he went to Cubby Bear and Raygun saved his life or changed his life. I went to both Foo Fighters shows, last summer. It's hard to eat a po' boy and talk about this. Went to both Raygun shows, Foo Fighters shows at Wrigley last summer. Grohl had the same patter down both nights. It was the same exact script.
Rehearsed.
Which, on a related note, if you're a big touring band, change your set list if you're playing the same city for multiple nights.
They did the same set list both nights?
Both nights. You got to mix that up because you've got to assume your real fans will probably find a way to go to both shows.
Yeah, you would think so.
So not only was it the same set list, it was the same banter. I thought, okay, I'm not buying it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a great story, but I'm not feeling it because it's so scripted.
It's a weird thing with, like celebrities or whatever. Like I love pro wrestling and I'll listen to these interviews by these old guys all the time. And it's the same thing. They have the story down. They've told it a million times. They know the beats. It's almost like stand-up. Like they've got it all figured out. And you hear them and you're just like, the first time you're like, oh, what a great story. And then the next time, oh yeah, I've heard. Then it's like, okay, man, you're just doing the hits. Like you start to wonder, like, oh, we're in Cleveland. I remember the first time I came to Cleveland. It's like, oh, this is the Cleveland story.
Here we go.
But yeah, I remember seeing that Sonic Highways. He did the one on Chicago. Same story. I can't believe the same set list 2 nights in a row because you have to think diehards were there for both, and then I guess you just have to
Especially
go.
in the same city,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was good. It was still good.
Yeah.
Change it up. What do you think of bands playing the whole album at a
I
concert?
love album plays. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I just did an interview, with Richard Patrick of the band Filter, and this year is the 20th anniversary of Filter's title of record album, the one that had Take a Picture, big breakthrough success for them, and they're going to go on the road. This was just a one-off that Filter did. They're going to go out on the road and do a 20th anniversary title of record tour where they play it start to finish. I like that. It's exciting. An artist gets to present their complete vision, start to finish, for ill or well. We're about 2 blocks away from the Vic. About a month ago, I saw Adam Ant play the Friend or Foe album, start to finish. That was super cool, and I forgot. Oh, there's some deep cuts in there that I really love. And
What album was that one?
Friend or Foe was the first solo album after the Ants, so that had Desperate But Not Serious, Goody Two Shoes, Crackpot History, and The Right to Lie.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about before we started recording.
I'm trying to remember.
What's that, Paul?
No, I liked Adam Ant. He had a
Yeah.
song Beautiful, but that's way later, right? That was the 90s.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Sorry.
All right, here's a situation I encountered at work. People either know Adam Ant in his glory and his new wave history, or they know him as the one-hit wonder from the 90s.
Goody Two Shoes.
Well, Goody Two Shoes was 80s, but if you know Wonderful, that was 1993,
That was
1994.
the comeback kind of.
That was
Yeah.
the
That was a
comeback
comeback.
album. But I found that a lot of people, colleagues of mine, had no idea that he even had a career before then, which makes me want to scream into the void. Because I love the Adam and the Ant stuff. I love that kind of Burundi drum stuff he had
I
going
remember
on.
I remember Goody Two Shoes in that album in the 80s, but I didn't know Adam and the Ants. So
My challenge to you, Paul, after you leave here tonight. Homework. I want you to listen to the song Ant Music.
what is it called?
Ant Music.
I will.
And we talked about too with.
Will he really do that?
Yeah, legally he has to.
I have to.
But we have talked about sort of the album is gone. Like now it's just you grab a song on iTunes or Spotify or whatever.
It's an a la carte culture. It really is. It's different, which is a bummer for artists who have this start to finish vision, and people just cherry pick a song or two.
Yeah.
And never actually. That's why I gave up on vinyl for a while, but I've come back to vinyl, and I've beat this drum a lot on the podcast. I like listening to records because you're kind of locked in. For 15, 20 minutes, you are locked into that artist's ideas or that vision for that period of time. You can't fast forward. You can't just carelessly skip. You're keyed in. That's what I like about that. You are part of that world.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just kind of like trust me. If the artist, as the artist, just like trust me. This is the order of the songs.
Yep.
This is how it goes. I'm gonna bring you up. I'm gonna bring you down. And I think if you do just have like one or two songs from somebody, it's tough to kind of really get a whole idea of it.
Sure.
There are once in a while like driving or if I'm walking on, I'll put on a whole album, and it is kind of like, especially when you get to the end, it almost feels like you accomplished something. Which you just listen to music. That's no big deal, but you sort of get the whole idea. And I like a good after a slower song, then a faster song starts or something like that. And I love just kind of going on that ride.
Totally agree.
Well, I think that whole idea of bands caring about the album order, it was after CDs, because people didn't even remember, they didn't know song names anymore. They'd be like number 3, and I'm guilty of it too.
Well, sure.
Because I would be like, wait, what's the name of that song? Like number 7. Like I have that Adam Ant album, and I know Wonderful, but I didn't even know the name because I liked him. I liked that song, not the album, but the song. I think that there is something to be said for those artists. What do you think killed the album? Do you think it was the record labels that were just like in a rush to just be like, wait, we just need one hit?
No, I think it's digital everything. The ability to get things a la carte, whether it was file sharing or streaming now, albums are kind of outmoded. I mean, it's just
but before even digital, if you go back to the 90s, right? There were artists that were putting out songs that only one they knew or they should have known. I sound like a lawyer. They knew or they should have known that people weren't gonna like the rest of the songs, but they didn't care. I think
it seems like an overstatement.
How many times did you buy an album and you're like, oh, I love this song, and then you'd go home and it would be horrible? I remember there were certain CD stores where you could listen to the album before, and people would do that. You'd pay a little more at that place, but it was a risk and reward. Whereas you go to Best Buy or wherever, it was like $9.99. You're like, sweet, and you'd buy The Farm, Remember the band The Farm? That's
Sure.
a great example. They had that one song, Groovy Train or whatever.
They had two. All Together Now was another hit
All
for them.
Together Now, right. But that album was horrible. It was
Well, I
a
mean,
horrible album.
of
And I
cour- of
remember
course.
that turned me off. And I was like, and I remember I had to do a paper on why the record companies are getting killed. And this is when Napster, everything came out. It's because the record labels gave up on the consumer. They're like, you know what? We just want to, once they buy the album, we don't care anymore.
I think that
Not all.
I think that's an overstatement. I mean, you're going to find albums that suck, that maybe have one or two shining moments, and the rest is garbage. You could say that about any form of entertainment. Yeah, I really liked Breaking Bad as a TV show, but that Fly episode I thought was unwatchable, and that was garbage. It doesn't negate the fact that there was some good in there, but inevitably you can watch a movie and say, man, I really love the Between Two Ferns movie on Netflix. The stuff they did with the celebrities was really funny, but man, the narrative was really stupid, and I kind of hated it, and it's not a good movie, but there are things I liked about it.
So what's the third song on that Farm CD?
Listen, I get credit for knowing the second, so...
That's impressive.
Paul, speaking of second songs,
Oh yeah, let's
Wow.
get to that.
Let's
Look at
do
that.
Dude,
All right, so
that was very,
thank you very much.
radio.
Thank you very much.
This one is "The Great Reactor" by Blood People.
It is.
Can you feel me?
Female vocals,
Ali Jados.
Ellie Jados. She's got this great, gravelly, just whiskey-soaked, weathered rock voice that I love. And the band, the Blood People, is just an incredibly tight band. I've seen them live a couple times, most recently at Beat Kitchen, which is that way on Belmont. And they make the floors shake. They make the walls shake.
She is so. Allie's a friend of mine. I've known her for years. I book her through my music company on her solo stuff.
That's
She's
fun. If you
great.
don't want to hear Paul talk, you just turn it up. Yeah,
There you go.
We need that.
yeah, I like that.
Wait, the hook's coming up. There it is. That voice. Those drums, Mickey. My God. All right, go ahead, Paul.
No, that's it. I liked. Did you ever listen to her when she had her solo stuff?
didn't.
Okay. So how did you learn about this band?
Through my radio show. They sent me
Submitted,
stuff. Yeah.
and then you became
So
a fan?
you obviously hear local bands of, not just local bands, but all sorts of new bands and stuff like that.
Sure.
There had to have been some where you're like, oh boy, this is going to be huge, and then
No, I went through that in the 90s where I thought that about a lot of bands and was incredibly wrong. I don't assume that about anything anymore.
you're just. I felt like in the '90s it was like stock market, like it was almost like playing stocks. Like
Oh,
you
yeah,
just
and
got in,
we'll get to that
invested.
because there's an artist on this list that'll be a springboard for that. But yeah, the calculus of what creates fame, what allows for an artist to go to that next level, I don't understand, especially in the modern day.
Well, it's different now, but in the 90s, you kind of had your finger on the pulse in terms of knowing what artists were going to do well. And it wasn't just the music, but it was having good heads on their shoulders and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that went into it. I mean, I think I just watched, talking about that Filter show, Johnny Radke was playing guitar with Filter, and he was in Kill Hannah back in the day. And I remember watching Kill Hannah, and they seemed like they had the entire package. They really had a bandality about them, a look, a very clear image of who they are and what their
They had a
mystique
label.
was. Well, they put out all their stuff independently. They did a lot of things right, but there was a lot that went into it. And look and vision, I think, had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Above and beyond the music.
I think so,
that
you-
savviness.
Did you ever see the movie Josie and the Pussycats?
No.
It's not a good movie, although people try to say it is a good movie, and they're like, it really talked about like the '90s music and all this stuff or whatever, like going into the 2000s or whatever. But there's a scene where they're walking by, and the guy kind of pictures like that's the CD cover, and it is like you see certain bands, and you're just like, oh man, whoever. Like I remember seeing bands open for bands I went to see, and you're just like, oh, they've got it all. They've got like
Yeah.
the look and the sound and everything, and you think like they'll be the next big thing. And I kind of think we have gotten away from. There used to be like Spin and Rolling Stone were
Sure.
so important. Like alternative, all these music magazines were important. The radio was the tastemaker.
Yeah.
MTV was the tastemaker. And then I just felt like there were times where you would just get like bombarded, and you're like, you wouldn't know a band, and then a week later you're like, oh, they were on this TV show, they were on Saturday Night Live, they were this, they were this, and they just like you were getting hit from like every platform, and you're like, I guess Filter's the new band now.
Well, you're talking about something that I've hit on a few times on the podcast, that idea of curation.
Mm-hmm.
There was a very clear curation of music back then. I think now the irony is you can find whatever you want to on the internet. Every song, every artist, whatever you're looking for, it's there. The difference now is you don't know where to go or what specifically.
There's too many choices.
Too many choices.
Like Netflix, you can just scroll and
Too
scroll
many choices,
and scroll.
but not enough guidance as to
Yeah.
where to go. I mean, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or Google Play Music, I find that the recommendation engines are not all
like
that good.
this. Yeah.
They never.
It's not good.
They never nail it, and you would think algorithmically they'd be able to spit out a perfect array
Yeah.
or list of artists for me to dig into. That's not the case. So, radio for its various foibles back then was able to at least lob up a bunch of that stuff for
yeah.
people to consider.
Yeah.
And, to your point, it was in concert with the music press, whether it was alternative press or Spin or Rolling Stone or whatever.
Did you ever give anybody a bad review and they took it very personally?
I was
you got
very
a message left by Ryan Adams on your.
No, I was always very careful to not. I mean, I might have said snarky things back in my younger days, but I tried not to be shitty about bands.
I had, I think I told Marty this story, but Shisha and Boy Productions, we were a music company or one-stop shop for bands for years, and they would send us packages. There was a period of time where we get 10, 20 CDs a month.
Sure.
So we were managing, booking, everything, and there were a couple of bands that I never understood, but when I was cleaning out my room, I saw their stuff, and two of the bands that we were like, we're going to pass on working with you guys have ended up being the two biggest bands in Chicago to come out of Chicago in recent years. I can say one of them because I talked to them about it, but Fall Out Boy was one of them. And, sometimes you call them, sometimes you're wrong.
Exactly.
But I was never, but the funny thing is I have those emails where I said, you guys are really, I was never a dick or anything, but I was like, I was very wrong. But I wouldn't know what to do with them either. And like we talked before, Swizzle Tree was a band that I was friends with, but I didn't understand it, but I knew they were talented. So.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, they were part of that whole scene that was
with some of the
emergent.
bands we'll talk about.
What's next?
But I do want to talk about Kilhanny, though. That was a band that I thought was going to be huge.
They came close. I mean, they got the Atlantic Records deal.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, this is probably 99 or 2000, Carson Daly called me because I was involved with, at the time, Local 101 on Q101, and he had his own record label. And he wanted to get the skinny on Kilhanna because he was thinking about signing them. And I, of course, talked them up. Then I hung up and I thought, that's about the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. I was driving on Columbus Drive, and I'm on my cell phone, of course, handheld, as I was driving, talking to Carson Daly about these guys who I've known for a couple years.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Who else were on his record label? Do you know?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the name of the label was.
I didn't know he had a label, but it does
But yeah, he
surprise
was,
me.
before. I mean, but he was the K-Rock guy before he was MTV
Exactly.
guy.
K-Rock
Okay.
was always like the farm team for MTV and Success.
Yeah. Interesting.
The farm team, I like that. And now one
Not,
of the
not
guys
the farm, who created All Together Now.
all together on the second.
That would have
hit.
been perfect if that was your next song. But unfortunately, it's not.
Unfortunately,
Paul,
it's-
tell him what the next song is.
The next song is
my nose is running.
Bad Form by Cancer. I've never, did I say it right?
Cancer, yeah.
I've never heard of this band.
Female-fronted, post-punk stuff. Angular. It sounds like walking into the empty bottle at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. That's a very.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, I love this kind of artistic, post-punk type vibe. They just played Riot Fest a couple weeks ago. But I included this song and this band just to show that indie rock is alive and well in Chicago. And furthermore, guitars are alive and well. Talking about the way things are curated nowadays, there's a real focus on pop-based material, but the majority of the stuff I get is guitar, bass, and drums, and some permutation of that. This band rocks, but they're also experimental and artistic and cool, and I mean, I feel cooler listening to this. So and that's
Yeah, like a good female singer too, and with this type of music is just like It's just extra. It just, to me, it just sounds like extra cool.
There's something vaguely sexual when you listen to this. There's just,
and
it's erotically charged.
And you, like you mentioned, like I think there, you know, in every genre, there's always like, oh, it's the end of this, and there's no more this. But it's like you said, like there are people who are like, yeah, guitars are gone. It's all electronic. It's like no. First of all, a lot of those songs, you have to have a guitar to write a lot of these songs to begin with. But like this music will never go out of style. There will always be like a 14-year-old kid who will hear this and just be like, I don't know what it is about this song, but I dig this. That to me is just like certain songs, you know, just you'll hit you and you'll be like, no, there's no way this form of music will go away to where it's all just going to be electronic music. This is not possible.
Yeah, so I included this just because this to me sounds exciting. This to me is just artistic. It's challenging in its own way, and it's just plain cool.
How are they live? Have you seen them live?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, sounds like they'd be a good live band.
What time? Where did they play on Riot Fest? They played at.
They played early. Forgot which stage. I forgot the name of the stage. They played early on the third day.
Okay.
Right, and then I did a show with them at House of Blues 2 years ago, and they're great.
That's great. I like her voice. I think it's pretty cool. It's like, not Courtney Barnett, but kind of like monotone in some ways. You know what I mean? It's like it's got an edge to it.
Oh, definitely.
How did you feel like with like a fest like Riot Fest where you have new bands, old bands? How do you you split it up? You try to make sure you see the new stuff as much as the old stuff?
I do. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I find with Riot Fest, there are a couple bands obviously you know you're going to plan to see. I find events like that much more fun if you kind of wing it and fall into stuff. The more you try to regiment your weekend, the more stressful it becomes and the less fun it becomes.
How do you feel like new bands can sort of stick out in like a setting like Riot Fest or, you know, Lollapalooza or whatever? Like how you know, how do you
to be clear, I hate Lollapalooza.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Why?
Really?
Well, I want to hear your reasoning. But.
Because I'm over 18.
Yeah.
I don't.
I was on the bus when all these people were coming back from Lollapalooza, and it made me feel so old. But I was like, no, but I would love it if I was 18. But now, like, I'm just like, nah.
I think the last 2 or 3 years on the lineups, they're trying to wean out our generation of bands. But if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, they had some really good bands that I thought would be.
First of all, 4 days is too much.
I agree with that. That was a stupid move on their part.
2 is enough.
It really
2's
is.
plenty.
But there were so many, like, I mean, this year I didn't get to. This is the first year I haven't gone in years, and the only reason I go is because I like the VIP section. You have those bathrooms that are air conditioned.
This is the most bougie thing you'll hear on this podcast.
Yeah,
They have open bars, and you get to. No, I actually like to be on stage with like because a lot of the bands that I wanted to see when I'd go like three years ago, Strands of Oak, and I was right on the stage watching them, and that's something that's surreal for me to see a band that I really love and follow from the beginning, and those are the kind of things I like to see. But but the last 3 years, I looked at the list. I'm like, I don't know any of these bands.
It's just it seems very narrowly focused, genre wise. I can't abide by Ariana Grande as a headliner. That's just a big mainstream pop festival. It's not for me.
I did want to see Childish Gambino though. I've never seen him live. So.
Whenever I see like the concert poster for like a tour, like a Lollapalooza festival, and they have like the big giant names, then they get a little smaller. Then I wonder the like back and forth of emails of like how big is our name? We need to be bigger. I could only imagine like
we have to be above
every time
so
I see that, I'm like, oh, how is that name bigger than that name?
And you have a band like Chevelle playing Lollapalooza.
Oh yeah,
you know, fantastic standby band from the far north suburbs. In this lineup that they really don't belong in. They were kind of this square peg round hole, this rock band, this accomplished, gold record selling rock band in the middle of DJs and pop. And I don't know what the benefit is to Chevelle to be on that lineup, where you probably aren't making new fans and your actual fans don't want to go.
Well, I think the same thing about do you remember, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 years ago, they had the band Live. Mm-hmm. And do you remember Live? Like, why were they on
Live?
Do you remember the 90s?
Do you remember the 90s?
Yeah.
Live was this, I mean, they were on the bill, and I remember seeing them. I was like, how are they benefiting here?
Paul wants to raise his hand in between songs. I have a question. How
I
are
have
you
questions
benefiting
for you
from
guys.
this?
It was
And
like,
are you going to play Lakini's Juice tonight?
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, and I mean, because there's like comedy clubs or shows that we'll do as comedians, and you don't want to do it, but the money's good, so you do
Yeah,
it, and
exactly.
and a little part of you dies inside when you're on that stage, but you do it. And I'm sure that's how it is. Like, if it's just like, hey, you got offered Lollapalooza, who knows? Maybe somebody who's buying the bands liked you and wants
Yeah.
to book you, or hey, if you want Pop Princess, you also have to take, live or something
That's
like
true.
that.
It could
Who
be the
knows?
same
But
agency.
it would kind of suck every day. You're just like, I'm not like Lollapalooza's on tour anymore, but if it was, like, to just be like, yeah, we play at 11 every day, nobody really listens, but then we watch other bands all day.
And it is different. There is, I mean, it's kind of cliche to pit the two against each other, but Riot Fest is so different, and I feel like there is a certain sameness and spirit of attendees that they will listen to, consume, and support the bands that they don't know. They're excited to see. I don't know if that's true at Lollapalooza. And, going back to the why don't I like Lollapalooza, I think one of the things that completely lost me was McCartney a couple years ago. Nothing against the Beatles, nothing against McCartney. When they announced him as a headliner, I don't know what that festival is anymore.
Yeah,
I
that's
really,
a weird.
That was a weird.
Real
I
weird.
saw that. I was there for that show. I was like, this doesn't make
And
sense.
I saw him, a couple years later at Tinley Park, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Thought he was great. That was the place to see McCartney in.
But it was funny because if you went to, did you see that show? When he
No.
was, whoever was, I forgot who was playing on the other side. But it was like Vampire Weekend or whatever. But because of the way he plays, you could hear it,
Sure.
even being close up. But
Sometimes you wonder if it's they're like, we need our fans should listen to this music. Like, we're the curators. You're gonna come see this show, and when you tell your parents you're going, and there's this guy Paul McCartney, they're gonna go, oh, you're gonna love it. But I think that completely flies in the face of like rock music, of like being like, there's this old guy that's gonna play and you're gonna love him. It's like, I don't think it's weird. I do see those bills sometimes, and you're just like, sell me why would I go to this? Why are these bands or whatever? And then others you see and you're like, that's perfect.
But it is interesting. I have a kid in high school, very much into rock and metal. He was totally down for going to Riot Fest this year. He was excited about seeing The Who, the HU, Rise Against, Slayer, a lot of other bands. And I said, is anyone from your school going to Riot Fest? He's like, they don't even know Riot Fest exists. All they listen to is pop and country.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I remember when I was in high school. I remember when I was playing songs on the radio for people in high school. It was very different.
yeah, but it's so crazy how country has dominated that youth now. Because when I was in school, I know Marty went to Indiana, so they had country. But like in Chicago, nobody. Well, we've covered this already, right, Marty? Like,
Yeah.
Nobody cool listened to country. Even
But
when
the-
Garth Brooks came out and it was like blowing up, nobody.
But I think
listened
the
to it.
country that James is talking about, that
It's
the kids
pop.
at your school, it's just like,
It's just
even
pop.
even country fans would be like, that's not country. It's like fast food country
But it's
music.
so
It's so
popular.
bad. But you hear it, they have like, you'll hear like a record scratch in the back, and there's like a beat,
Exactly.
and it's just like, this is no country
Shaggy's
music.
on this song.
Anybody, yeah, right. Like they'll have like a rap, you're gonna interlude with like a rapper or something like that. Like, you're just like, this is not
Exactly.
country music. And I think it's just one of those things of just, you just like anybody, how they came, kids just like, I'm in 6th grade and I listen to, whatever the hippest band is or whatever. It's like, you listen to your bad music, then you kind of get into the better music or whatever.
No, I think in high school, what you listen to shapes you significantly. I think if you were listening to shitty music back then, it's going to affect you. You're going to be a shitty person when you get older. Those are the people that listen to Limp Bizkit.
But I know
I know a
listened
lot
to
of-
Limp Bizkit, and
I know.
I was not a shitty person. I
I
just
know a
it
lot
paired
of-
well with wrestling, and I enjoyed it.
I know a lot of recovering Limp Bizkit fans.
Yeah.
Well, that was a bad example. But my point is that, like, country, even in Chicago, talking about fest, the country fest, Smoke Fest or whatever, that thing is huge now.
Yeah.
When it first started here, I remember it was like one street, part of a street. Now it's like taking over the city. And all these people, when it's in town because all these people come in there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Paul, speaking of what's taken over the city, our number 4 track,
This band actually did take over the
they
city.
took over the city.
Harpoon AM Taxi.
So AM Taxi, you mentioned Swizzle Tree earlier. There was that emergent scene in the late 90s from the suburbs, Downers Grove, Naperville, about to hit the post, Naperville, that whole area. They would bust their fans in, and
To Metro and
there we go, Adam Cryer's voice. And they built this following. They built a scene basically. They'd bring their fans into the city. They made it so that they had an impact on the city. Lucky Boys Confusion was really the leader of that. Plain White Tees grew out of that scene. And Adam Cryer of Lucky Boys Confusion, a couple years after Lucky Boys broke, did his thing with American Taxi, AM Taxi, and they had their major label moment, and that was early aughts. This band is still going. They just put out an album called Shiver by Me, which is as good as anything you'll hear.
This song is on that.
This song is on there, Harpoon. This is as good as anything you'll hear all year. It's kind of like Americana-tinged punk rock. And I wanted to include this because Adam's kind of straddled a couple decades with Lucky Boys, with AM Taxi, and he's still making music I think is vital, that I think is highly listenable. I saw the band at Reggie's a few months ago, and they were tight and great and wonderful. Yeah, so this album, there's a handful of songs on there that I like and I've played on the radio. I can't recommend it enough. And it's just nice. He's kind of become an elder statesman on the music scene now, but still making fantastic music.
I remember when he was in Lucky Boys. I mean, those guys, they